if you remember this one.
Yes, sir. One of my favorites. The old Chicago Bulls teams used to come out to this in the beginning. Tell you what, I wasn't a Chicago Bulls fan, but seeing them come out to this song, crazy.
We're living together, but still it's fair.
Welcome to Week 10 of Irish Bill's Twist on Sports, Week 11 of the high school football season. That's why we went with Final Countdown.
Yes,
It's the
sir.
final week for those teams that will not be making it into the playoffs. There will be some makeup games next week, as with all the from the storm, hurricanes and everything. So they'll be making up an additional week next week. But more than likely, unfortunately, the Raiders will be playing their last game at home on Friday night against Niceville.
Yes,
But
sir.
a chance to go out in style.
Absolutely.
But with me tonight, no, that's not Bob. That's not Seminole Bob. That is my
Bulldog
man,
Marty. Bulldog Marty, remember?
Bulldog Marty.
Yes, yes.
And your job, you guys get beat early in the season, and look at you. You're right back up to number 2.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. You know, sometimes when you're as good as we've been the last couple of years, the Georgia Bulldogs I'm speaking about, it's good to see some adversity hit us, to see how we responded. And I love how Kirby Smart did and how he communicated how he felt to the media, actually, after the game. So it's been a really good experience.
Most definitely, he went in. He was all business in Texas.
Yeah.
And actually, I heard one of the analysts say that after that first series, he knew Georgia was going to win the game. They just expressed their dominance on both sides of the ball after the first series for both teams.
Yeah, and Bill, he's a huge coach on working hard in the weight room and then having that translate to practice.
Sort of man like you, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. and then when you work hard at practice, you will play hard in the game. And he knew how they were going to come out and perform based off of what he saw at practice, and that's how it works.
Most definitely. Well, we're going to recap the game from last Friday night. We're going to go over our Panhandle Power Rankings, our predictions for this week, and Marty's going to tell us a little bit about his trip up to Maryville this past weekend, and as he went up there and celebrated homecoming with Jackson Spalla and Hunter Feaster.
Yeah.
What a year Maryville's having so far.
They're playing really good. Coach Fox is an amazing guy, but the plans that they implement and how he has a team on the same page, the chemistry is amazing, Bill. The community is super tight-knit, and that energy just flowed from the outside of the gates to the inside for the game.
We're also going to have our good friend, the pick wizard, Joe Settle, come on. He's on the chain gang at Niceville, so he'll be up on top of the roof with me next week since they're on the road. So he'll come up and enjoy the game from the best view in the house where I sit.
Yep.
Well, anyways, we'll have Joe on. We're going to call him in a little bit, and then we're going to talk about where our former Raiders now. And we're going to get some updates from the Gulf South Conference. West Florida really starting to play some ball now, Marty.
They are.
And then
Their homecoming game turned them on. Yep.
But usually we'll finish it with Grant's rants, but I have a rant of my own. that they're gonna finish tonight. But let's talk a little bit about last Friday night's game. Early on, you could kind of. I know you were up in Tennessee. I'm sure you caught the video, the game Friday night up in up in Maryville.
Yeah, I was live the entire time.
And you could tell early on that the rhythm of the game was sided with Pace right off the top.
Yeah, it was. It was difficult, but at the same time, I understand, and we've communicated the entire season about growing and having a young team, replacing so many talented individuals like Hunter Feaster that's tuned in right now. Replacing him, Jackson Spalla, Cam, and all the other talented offensive players that we lost this offseason. But everything's going to be great. Navarre has a bright future. Coach Bagley works tremendously hard, has great character, and I'm excited about the future of the organization.
Most definitely. Here's how the scoring went on Friday night. Let me pull up our Ian Lockwood player of the game. Deserved it. The quarterback for Pace, Ben Tyner, multi-talented quarterback, running back / quarterback. Our offensive player of the game goes to their massive, tall, Herculean tight end, Joseph Skipworth, who's all of about 6'8".
He's incredible.
He's going to Kansas.
He's incredible, man.
I see we had a transfer over the weekend. Tylon Lee decommitted from UCF and committed to Ole Miss.
How do you feel about that?
He's going over to play there with Ladarian Clardy as well.
I think it's a great opportunity. Mississippi developed some really good professionals, and obviously the coaching staff is fiery and they have a lot of experience. So I think he'll do well.
One thing with Tylon, I've watched him since he was a freshman because he started for Pace since his freshman year. Mm-hmm. One thing that I've noticed though, sometimes he takes plays off, and he goes to Ole Miss. He's not going to be able to take plays off.
Absolutely not.
But there was a little smack talk going on between him and Roman early on. I was talking with Roman after the game, but that guy's a talent.
He is for sure, and he was in the backfield a lot. I noticed that Pace had a really good game plan, and they were isolating their strongest players on our most opportunistic players or areas to take advantage of their talent and their skill set, and it showed.
And our Will Sutter defensive player of the game, what a season. He's just Mr. Consistent, easy Gasca. I mean,
his motor is unreal.
You look at him and it's like, defensive lineman, really?
Yeah.
No. You got to watch this young man play. I'm going to hate to see him go because then I won't be able to say easy anymore. Yeah. But he's got a younger brother coming up in the system as well.
Yes, sir.
I believe he's a center.
Yeah, he is. Hopefully we'll see Easy play on the next level. He has the work ethic, and his motor is unstoppable.
And our special teams player of the game was Caleb Nelson, the kicker from Pace. Mm-hmm. 4 of his 6 kickoffs out of the back of the end zone.
He's got a big leg.
He's got 5 for 5 on extra points, and he was our special teams player of the game. Well, Pace got it going on their first drive, 7:24 mark, a 4-yard run by Mikhail Williams. Caleb Nelson added the extra point, 7-0. At the 4:30 mark, a 10-yard pass after the Raiders had turned the ball over in their own end of the field on an interception. Tyner made him pay on a 10-yard pass to Joseph Skipworth. Nelson's kick good. And at the end of the first quarter with 25 seconds left, a 1-yard run by Tyner. Nelson kicked 21-0 Pace after the first quarter.
Yeah.
Second quarter, the only scoring in the second quarter at the 5:53 mark, a 5-yard run by Tyner. Nelson's kick good, 28-0. And with 5:47 to go into third, they would score on a 12-yard pass from Tyner to Brooks Washington. I was impressed with that young man, number 10. For Pace, that is extra point good. That's a 35-point lead. And you know what? In the state of Florida, that ensues a running clock, and it's hard for any team to come back. The Raiders would get off to Schneid at the 7:15 mark. A 5-yard pass from Marshall to Andre Spence. Byers' kick good, and that completed the scoring on the night.
Yes, sir.
Roman Marshall, 8 of 18, 57 yards, TD, and unfortunately 3 interceptions. It doesn't matter if it goes on him or his receivers. It's a team game. Yep. Raiders did turn the ball over 4 times on the night. Tyner, 6 of 9, 110, consistent. They don't throw much, but when they do, they're usually right on the spot. Navarre reception, Connor Hamlin. I'm going to be interested to watch this young man grow. He's had a great season, 3 receptions, 21 yards. Jacob Crowder, I'm going to hate to see both of our tight ends go with Crowder and Helton.
I was hoping we could utilize them two a little bit more this year, but I think if they both play on the next level, they'll be good players.
Most definitely. Like I said, Joseph Skipworth led pace receiving with 3 receptions for 53 yards and a touchdown. Andre, Mr. Everything, drives the bus to away games as well. 7 carries, 49 yards to lead the Raiders.
Yes, sir.
On defense, well, actually, I'll talk about Jacob Bishop over the last 3 games has really picked up his punting game.
Oh man, he's looked really. He's got a big
3
leg.
punts, 41.3 average for those 3 punts. Not inside the 20, but the Raiders were a little bit out of range for him to get it there. Pace, their punter had a good night as well. 2 punts for a 49-yard average for them. Bryce Wheeler led the team in tackles with 8. Zeke Burgess with 8 as well. Andre Spence, your son Josh had 7 tackles each. Marquez White with 6. Easy with 5. Vinny with 5. Braxton Barr, he's played really well in the second half of the season.
Yes, he has.
Jakari Thomas, I like seeing the big man out there. I'm going to miss him next year.
Yeah.
Got to see some young talent, though. One, Aiden Drain. He got out there for 3 tackles. He's played the last couple of games. And Yalal Mustafa, 2 tackles. Cooper Black out there with 3. Bryce Moore has just been playing consistent football all year long.
Yes, he has.
The freshman Jaden Jones has been stepping up. Rowan Strom, solid year. Jason Lute and Chase Moses and Matthew Lee also got a tackle each in the contest. The Raiders got a home game left this Friday night against Niceville.
Yeah, that's a big time game. You know,
Kind of mixed emotions going into this game.
Yeah, mixed emotions. Obviously, we have some athletes on both sides of the ball that we care about and have known for a long time. So, man, it's going to be very, very emotional.
One thing that I brought up that I posted on my Facebook page, and I want to share with all of you. Most of you probably have already read it, but I'm going to bring it up again. And this is not intended to be about transfers. It's about something I'm going to bring up here. This is just Irish Bill's opinion. Here's what I see at the high school level in Florida. Since the state opened up the ability to transfer pretty much any time, games used to be more competitive, but now you see more blowouts and running clocks. And the competitive balance, in my opinion, has gone away.
Yeah, I think it's the initial thing that's going to happen. You know, it happened at the Division I level as well. You know, everything started to go frantic with the transfers and whatnot. I believe it's going to take a couple of seasons for coaches and the entire area of Florida, the entire state, to make adjustments necessary so that every school, you know, will still continue to have parity and we can take advantage of talent.
Well, you bring up college.
Yeah.
I know you brought up Indiana as one team.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, they look at all the transfers that they had come in. Plus, he had a good recruiting class. Coach Signetti
he's
can
really
flat
good.
out coach.
Signetti's
He
really
can
good.
flat out recruit.
Mhm.
He is one of those guys, high energy, but he's a no nonsense guy. He's our type of guy.
No, for sure.
And what happened in Washington on Sunday would not happen at with an Indiana team.
I agree.
That player would have been yanked off the field just like that. And remember old Lou Holtz when he went out and grabbed that
Yeah.
lineman's face mask? A guy that's about 1.5 feet taller than him and probably 150 pounds more.
Hey, Bill, that was the most surprising thing to me because obviously Tyreek Stevenson is a Georgia Bulldog, former player from the college that I follow and love so much. He's coached very well, and Kirby Smart has that same type of intensity on the sideline where you'll see him all the time coaching guys up, even on good plays. When they come to the sideline, he'll grab them by the face mask, shoulder pads, and tell them to look up at the replay screen and see what happened. This is how we should have responded and the play that we should have made instead of, you know, making this bonehead play.
Most definitely. And but that's just one point I wanted to bring up, and it's
He'll learn from it.
most definitely. And well, let's go over the scores from last week. We had one Thursday night game where Mosley fried, battered, and sautéed the Gulf Breeze Dolphins, 48-7. Lighthouse over Central in a 2:00 afternoon game. No lights up at Central, so they had to play that game in the afternoon.
How about Everett Alford, man? He's doing really good.
5-5 this year for Lighthouse.
They've
They're
grown.
probably going to the playoffs again this year.
Yeah.
Pace 35, Navarre 7. Niceville 43-3 over Milton. Chalked on the crosstown battle with the Fort Walton 49-13. Tate, a big win over Crestview, pretty much assured themselves of a playoff spot there. The 54-30 win over Crestview. Catholic 45, South Walton 7. All Catholics' points were in the first half, so it was a running clock the whole second half. Escambia 14, Pine Forest 13 on a botched snap.
Man, that was tough.
And one thing, when you're punting the ball, and you're kicking to Escambia, what do you tell your punter not to do?
Dude, don't kick it to number 1.
Don't kick it to Clardy.
Yeah, kick that thing out of bounds.
What's he do? He kicks one right down the center of the field. Clardy returns it for a 60-yard touchdown, 14-13. Escambia prevails over Pine Forest. Lincoln, in a surprise, not a surprise that they won, but how easily they won over Eau Gallie, 38-17. Walton over Freeport, 55-7. Washington over Destin, 49-8. Jay over Weewaw, 41-0. Arnold in a tight one over Rickards, 16-14. Probably secured a playoff spot with that win. Bay over Rutherford, 21-13. Childs, 40. Leon, nothing. Wakulla goes on the road to Baker County over in Glen St. Marie, 34-18 road winners. Bluntstown, 40. Holmes County, 20. Madison County over Apopka.
How about
it
that
used
one?
to be a power.
They did.
You remember who played at Apopka, don't you?
Um,
I'm putting you on the spot here.
Georgia Bulldog, wasn't it?
No, he played at the U. Big defensive lineman.
Oh, is it Warren Sapp?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
He was a Blue Darter. They are the Blue Darters.
They had a really good program.
They have a down year this year.
You know, they're running the single wing all those
Madison
years.
County plays they're a rural school.
Yeah, for sure. But Apopka, man, they were dominating with the old school single wing.
Sorry about the coughing. Still
For
getting
2
over
decades.
it cold here. Cottondale over Vernon, 56-12. Port St. Joe over Sneeds. Cottondale stays unbeaten. Port St. Joe over Sneeds, 24-0. St. Paul II over FAMU. Pedestrian score of 74-0.
Wow.
See, one of my programs. I'm talking. Not that FAMU's been that big of a program over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Lafayette over Franklin County, 39-6. McClay crosses the border to Deerfield, Windsor in Georgia, 28-21.
That's a big time win.
Yeah. Brantford, 43. Jefferson County, 30. Bozeman, 41. North Bay Haven, 9. Zarapath Academy over North Florida Christian, 60-28. Osceola Christian stays unbeaten, 49-0 over Spring Creek Charter out of Georgia. And the Taylor County, Gadsden County was postponed. I never did find a reason why there was a postponement.
Yeah.
But right now, as it sets, Pace is your District 1 champ in Class 6A. Mosley's your district champ in Class 5A District 1. 5A District 2 goes to Lincoln. Class 4A District 1, Escambia. Class 4A District 2, Choctaw. Class 3A District 1, Bay. Class 3A District 2, Godby. Your independents, they play their own different playoffs. Catholic, your Class 2A District, that team could win state.
Yeah, they could.
I really believe that team's got a great chance.
They're loaded.
Class 2A District 2, Mariana still unbeaten, 9-0. What an offense and defense they put on the field over there in Mariana this year. Gadsden County has played everybody and gone everywhere this year. They're Class 2A District 3 champs. Class 1A District 1, St. John Paul II. Your rural leading team is Jay at 8-1 and Cottondale 8-0 in rural region 2. So those teams have earned their way into the playoffs.
They have
already.
I think the playoffs are going to be magnificent.
This time I'm going to take a moment to call our good friend, the Pick Wizard, Joe Settle. He's got some opinion. If I can look up Joe's number here real quick.
Real quickly, I want to give a shout-out
Go ahead.
to Miss Deb. How you doing, Miss Debbie? Jackson Spalla, what's going on, sir? Had a great time with y'all out in Tennessee. Hunter, good to see y'all paying attention to Mr. Bill's show.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are checking in. Jackson even came on the show with us a couple of times at the end of last year.
Yeah, he's a special guy, man.
Most definitely. I think that's
Hunter as well.
That's the right number. We're going to give him a call.
Can't wait to talk about that game. Jax was balling, man. He was balling.
See if I can get the number up here to. See if I can get him on the line here.
Hello?
Is this the one and only Pick Wizard?
Well, I don't know if I was the pick wizard last week.
Well, anyways, we were just talking about Joe. Joe Settle, my good friend. He's on the Niceville Chain Gang. He'll be over in Navarre to catch the game this week. And he is on. We're going to talk a little bit about something. Last week, Niceville was ahead of Mosley in the rankings. And that's huge. But this week, Niceville plays Milton, a team that's probably cost them a few points. And as Mosley went to Gulf Breeze, a team that had won a couple of games. So you think that's the difference right there, Joe?
Yes, I think so.
But have you really sat down and figured out how they do this strength of scheduling and the points and everything? I've looked it over for the last couple of years, and I really haven't figured it out.
Yeah, it's kind of almost impossible because even for future, you don't know the team's opponents, what they have done, because they could lose the last week, which would drop them even more. It's not based off what their rankings were at the time you played them. It's at that, the entire season.
So is it Mosley's right now the 2 seed and Niceville's the 3?
No, Niceville is 1. Mosley's 1. This is in Region 1.
Correct.
Niceville is 2, and then Lincoln is 3.
But even as the 2 seed, that would put you guys on the road, would it not?
It just depends. I think so, because I think the 7th seed right now will be the District 4 winner, which means they automatically get a home game.
But if you go on the road and win that game, then you would stay at home unless you played Mosley.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, for some reason, but the way I looked, I don't think there's a way that the 8th seed could actually jump just based off of their current ranking, where the 8th seed could jump the District 4 winner. What they really need to do is go back to the way it kind of used to be. You have a district winner and a runner-up. The District 1 plays the District 2 runner-up, and then vice versa. And then there's no rankings involved because there's too much human factor.
That's right, and we saw last year with Pace, a team that should have been in the playoffs last year, an 8-2 team. Their schedule was not weak, but they made sure that this year that was not going to happen. Right. With the additions of Mary G. Montgomery out of Montgomery and added Madison County. And, they've really strengthened their schedule, and I think that's really helped them this year.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, it's too much human involvement. But that's why the game was postponed. The lights weren't working.
That'll work. That won't work, but
that's what happened.
You got a question for Joe, Marty?
I don't actually. Joe, how do you feel about the matchup between Navarre and Niceville?
Because it's been tough battles the last probably 10 years, where each team has kind of dominated for a couple years in a row. I still think it's anybody's game. You still got to play the game. So, however each team has done so far this year, that doesn't mean nothing. The records go out the way when you're battling a rivalry.
Most definitely. And what about the rumors in I know down in Hogtown, your coach, is he going to make it throughout the season, or is he going to make it at the end of the season?
Yeah, I think they'll let him finish the year just based off of how far it is so far, along the season. But
and I know you got a matchup this weekend with the guy sitting next to me's team. We're going to have a little feud near back and forth, or you think Georgia's pretty much got this one?
Oh, yeah. I said at the beginning of the season I'd be happy if Florida got 4 wins, and we've got our 4. And we might have a chance with FSU, but these next 3 games, I don't think we even have a chance. There's always that any given Saturday.
Yeah.
But Georgia's way out, I don't know. They're
man.
way more dominant than Florida.
Well, Florida definitely recruits well, a lot of talent at the school. I've been fortunate to see 3 of those games live. And one time we lost and 2 times we won. I was able to see Sony Michel and Nick Chubb their senior year.
Those guys were beasts.
Oh, man, it was a good game to watch. But never sleep on Florida because my entire high school, 4 years in high school, Tim Tebow was there. So.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. For sure. And I like this Legway kid.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a stud. Well, Pick Wizard, thanks for coming on the show tonight. In your interpretation of what's going on between Niceville and Mosey, I think 2 teams that are really starting to dislike each other.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the Pick Wizard, Joe Settle. Thanks, Joe. We'll see you Friday night.
Okay, then.
Have a good night, Joe.
All right.
Sorry for the coughing, folks. I'm still coming down a sinus cold here. But we're going to go ahead and take a commercial break, our first one of the night, and we'll be back with the rest of Irish Bill's Twist on Sports.
To everyone who loves Culver's, the feeling is mutual. I'm Nicole from Culver's of Cross Plains, Wisconsin. And when I'm serving you a Butterburger, I'm just as happy as you are. I almost get giddy when I hear the sizzle of our fresh beef on the grill. Seeing that smile that comes from a meal made just right, some call it magic, but I like to call it love at first bite. Stop in for a cook-to-order Butterburger and let us make Culver's your happy place.
From Wisconsin with love, welcome to Delicious.
Place to be. Farm living is the life for me.
Sometimes all you need to change your life is a sign. Like an actual sign that's like above you. And no, I don't love B-dubs just because I'm a buffalo with wings. Frankly, that's offensive and reductionist. It's like they made beer into a place and gave that place sports and chicken wings. And the people, the best.
Marty! You're dead weight!
Yeah, this place is kind of like heaven. Without needing to get hit by a bus. Let's go sports bar!
A strong work ethic takes pride in a job well done. This is the kind of person you need. Express Employment Professionals can help because we understand what it takes to hire the right person. It takes real people, real interviews. We find good people, matching the right skills with the right jobs from the production floor to the front office. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. A buying, building, or refinancing a dream home is in your future. You need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes, Stacy Wright, and Sheila Billingham are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or refinancing experiences smooth. So University Lending at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call us at 850-396-0322. Navarre Fitness is where old school meets new. Whether you're into free weights or the latest and greatest weightlifting equipment, they will meet your needs. They have cardio machines as well if you want to get your sweat on. Whatever direction you decide to go, trainers Clay Horton, Brick Grubbs, Andrew Coase, and Stephanie Hunt will be there to assist you along the way. So what are you waiting for? Oh yeah, how do I join? Just go to navarrefitness.net and check out our rates or call us at 850-816-5434. You can even stop by our location at 8700B Navarre Parkway in Navarre. You can also visit our sister gym, Midway Fitness, at 5660 Gulf Breeze Parkway, Unit 1. Both facilities are open 24/7. We are the place to go to get you started on the road to a better you. The Hustle isn't named after anyone, not after a designer, definitely not after a mythological god. It's not about stripes or ranking or status. The Hustle is real. The Hustle is about you. So keep in mind when you're repping and rocking Hustle Hard USA streetwear, you can tell all the onlookers that this mark, this brand represents your hustle, your grind. You put in that time, that sweat, that pain. Now it's up to you to show them all what you got. Win or lose, the hustle is real. Go to www.hustlehardusa.com and I can guarantee you,
You will not be disappointed.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,
He did the mash,
he did the monster mash.
the monster mash.
It was a graveyard.
Irish Bill Sports broadcast of Navarre Raider football. Here's your host and the voice of Raider Nation, Irish Bill. And here come the Raiders.
Welcome back to Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We're here at Culver's, and no, this is not Seminole Bob. This is his better-looking brother, Marty Wilson, and this is Irish Bill's Twist on Sports here at Culver's in Navarre, about a block and a half from the bridge leading out to beautiful Navarre Beach. And we're going to head up to Maryville at this time. Yeah. Maryville College. What city is Maryville in?
It's in Maryville, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, Maryville,
Is it
Tennessee.
Maryville? There is a Maryville, Tennessee.
There is a Maryville, Tennessee.
Is it south of Knoxville?
Yes, 20 minutes.
Okay. You were up there to watch Hunter Feaster, the Navarre Raider quarterback, and Jackson Spalla, who's starting to get some playing time. He was number 2, but unfortunately the number 1 got hurt.
Yep.
And so Jackson got to play a lot of game on Saturday.
Yeah.
How are the Scots looking?
They look really good. It's the first time I've seen them live. I've watched some footage through Huddle and some games on YouTube, but, man, they're well coached. Coach Fox is amazing. I had an opportunity to speak with him via text. Blessed to have a great relationship with him through Hunter and Jackson. But the way they coach, the way they have built the program to recover from COVID-19, because apparently there was a couple of down years from Maryville.
Oh, yes, there was.
And they've responded really well, and they brought in a bunch of really good recruits. They got a total of 135 athletes.
Wow.
A part of that program, but they don't obviously.
Because you're a Division III school.
Yeah, they don't dress out. I think there was 50 to 65 guys that dressed out for the home games, and we were blessed to see Hunter and Jackson dressed out. And once the starting center went down, Jackson stepped right on in, and they scored on the first play that he was in the game.
Nice.
And I believe they scored 3 or 4 times while he was playing.
They're in the same conference with Huntington College.
Yeah.
And last week they just dismantled Huntington College.
That was a surprise,
and you
right?
never see Huntington College get beat like that in a conference game.
I'm telling you right now, I wasn't directly on the sideline, but I was close. And the passion and the enthusiasm on the sideline with the coaching staff is amazing. Like, those guys are following that coaching staff, and they're headed in the right direction.
We've had former Navarre Raiders that have played up at Maryville. Kane Adamson, former Navarre quarterback, and Bo Herring, one of the strongest defenders at Navarre's Navarre history.
Bo's actually a legend out there in Maryville. He has all the records.
He started all 4 years at Maryville College. His older brother, Hacksaw, as I call him, he played 3 of the 4 years at Huntington, and he was all conference there as well. Yeah. And I believe he's in law school right now.
Yeah, they got some very, very talented players there. Very good school, too. The campus is really nice. The community is amazing. The culture. It was hard not to, get drawn in, Bill.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a great experience. You flew into Knoxville?
Yeah, actually I flew into Knoxville. McGee Tyson Airport, smaller airport, but it was very nice.
It's an Air National Guard base, right? It used to be?
I believe so. Yeah. But I had a layover in Atlanta, close to the old hometown, and then got there around noon. It was a really good trip. Had a great time.
Most definitely. I want to make it up. I made it up that area one time. Brady's, I think it was either his freshman or sophomore year, is shorter. They played Tusculum, which is just if you go 80 miles east of Knoxville.
I'm familiar.
It's closer, almost closer to North Carolina than it is to Knoxville. you're really close over there. But we got to experience that beautiful area, the eastern part of Tennessee.
That was my first time spending significant time there, Bill. I've drone through there once, and I had like a layover there one time, but I never had a chance to get out and enjoy the surrounding area. But it was beautiful.
Yeah, the year that Brady played up there, we flew into Knoxville, rented a car, and went into the area. I'm trying to remember. It's a historical area that Tusculum plays in. It's an old university and with a lot of history. And but it was a great time up there in eastern Tennessee. But we've went over the district champions, and like I said, there are a few games to be decided, but not in this area. In 850 that have all pretty much been whittled down to conference champions in each of the districts that we cover from here on over to Tallahassee. But now it is time for drum roll. Did I hear somebody say drum roll? Oh. That's a little loud there, Bill. Irish Bill's Panhandle Power Rankings, no change. None of these teams lost last week. So Mosley, Niceville, Pace, Choctaw, Escambia, Tate, and Arnold are your 1 through 7. And the large schools, your small schools, Catholic, Mariana, Jay, Cottondale, Chipley, Walton, and Baker. Yeah, Irish Bills, what's that?
I'm sorry, I was just going to say we're definitely more top-heavy with the large schools this year.
Yes, indeed. Irish Bills Players of the Week for Week 10 from Tate. Quarterback Tate Davis, 18 of 22, 322 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. So he contributed in 6 of the 7 Tate touchdowns.
They played Crestview, right?
They played Crestview, put up 54 points. Your defensive player of the game, this guy's a stud. Ellis Alloway from Choctaw, 13 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, as they took out Fort Walton Beach, their crosstown rival, 49-13. And his teammate, Choctaw kicker Sam King, he was 7 for 7, the second time this year that Sam's been designated as our special teams player of the week. And right now it sounds like Sam is leaning towards going to Brown University. He's a legacy. I guess both of his parents went to Brown, and he's a talented young man. Doesn't work with the kicker. Brady's worked with him one weekend. He never came back. This kid's talented. If he can get with, I think I'm kind of urging him to come back to Brady, and Brady will make sure that he's ready and stronger going into college. But there's our large schools: Mosley, Niceville, Pace, Choctaw, Escambia, Tate, and Arnold. Small school: Catholic, Mariana, Jay, Cottondale, Chipley, and Walton. Maybe some of the other talents this week. I mean, Port St. Joe's Jacob Hensley, 11 of 17, 273 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Mosley, Sammy Freitas. I'll be happy when that young man's gone. 16 of 18 against Gulf Breeze, 255 yards, 4 touchdowns. Walton's Wells Bentonhausen has had a solid season as well. 9 of 14, 223, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Tate's wide receiver finally back healthy. Christian Neptune had 7 receptions for 124 yards and a score. Running back Kyler Battle from Washington, 11 carries, 184 yards, 3 touchdowns. And C.J. Nettles finally got it going, 10 carries for 167 yards, and all 5 of Catholic's touchdowns last week. Cottondale's Jacarian Garrett kind of had an off week, but he only had 8 carries for 146 yards and 2 TDs after going for over 700 yards in his previous 2 games.
Their O-line is incredible.
It is for a rural school.
Yeah.
Moultrie went for 118. He did the number on us as well. Our defensive Bozeman's Wade Mitchell, 16 tackles. Arnold's Evan Pickford with 14. Young man from Catholic, Caleb Johnson, 10 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 3 quarterback hurries. Catholic's Keller Brown, 6 for 6 on extra points. Caleb Nelson, 5 for 5, extra points, 4 touchbacks. We've already talked about the punter there. West Florida's Hayden Olson and Port St. Joe's Josiah Beach both were perfect on the night, 3 for 3 on extra points. We got some talented young men in the 850, don't we?
Yeah, we got some really good special teams guys.
Indeed. And we can thank all of our coaches that have coached these guys over the years. Mm-hmm. And it's fun to watch. Even if Navarre's not playing well or not having a good season, I'm blessed. I get to call football games.
Yeah. No,
and I get to see all the talent that we have here in the 850 over the years.
And there's so much talent here, right? Like, if if Navarre was playing in Missouri right now, they might be 9-1 right now. Just to be honest, nothing against Missouri. I was stationed there for a little while and had a chance to see some football. Florida football is on a different level.
Most definitely, and same with Indiana. But Indiana football is really starting to pick it up now. But let's go over our picks. For once, Pick Wizard, you let me win one. In fact, I got you by a couple of games. Last week I went 23-5 in our high school picks.
Congratulations.
Bob went 22-6, Joe 21-7, and Paul pulled up the caboose at 19-9 on the season. Joe, he was about 11 games in front of me a couple weeks ago. He's down to 7, and we got some games left. Not many, but then we go through the playoffs and we pick the playoffs as well. Joe 212-54, almost 80% for the season. That's incredible. That's why they call him the Pick Wizard.
Big time.
I'm at 205-61. Paul 196-70. He's tied with Bob. They're both 196-70. This is our games we're picking this week. Niceville at Navarre. Joe's going with Niceville, as he will only pick against Niceville. Never. So he's going with the Eagles on the road. The rest of us are going with Navarre at home. Gulf Breeze at Pensacola. Very impressed with the turnaround from Pensacola this year, and they should win that game easily.
I saw them in the spring. Their coaching staff is
a lot of the Pine Forest coaches went over to Pensacola, and they got a talented quarterback and running. That running back is huge.
They look like Pine Forest did a couple years ago.
Yeah. A.G. Floyd, that running back, is pretty incredible. Yeah. We're all going with Pensacola at home. West Florida at Pine Forest. Look for Pine Forest to get back in the win column in that one. Pace at Milton. No contest in that rivalry. That game should be over by the time Pace gets off the bus. Pace, we're all going with Pace in that one. Choctaw's got a road game into Alabama. They go up to Enterprise. Paul and Joe are taking Enterprise. I can't root against the Indians.
No,
they're having a great season under Frank Beasley. Bob and I are going with Choctaw. Crestview at Fort Walton Beach. No contest here. Crestview should roll in that one. Escambia at Tate. Joe's going with Escambia. The rest of us are going with Tate. Tate's starting to get healthy.
They are.
At the best time of the season, at the end of the season.
That was the game plan, too.
We're going with Tate. Joe going with Escambia. Catholic, St. John Paul II is playing well, a lot better, but Catholic's Catholic. And we're all going to go with the Crusaders on the road in that one. Marianne at Walton, 9-0 at South Walton. I'm sorry, Seahawks. Rickards at Lincoln. Lincoln playing really well right now. I wouldn't want to play them right now.
They're physical.
We're all going with the Trojans in that one. Mosley at Florida High should be a good game, but we're all going with the Dolphins to stay unbeaten. Sneeds at North Bay Haven. North Bay Haven's having trouble finding the goal line this year. Sneeds all over North Bay Haven in that one. Childs at Sewanee. Bob's going with Childs. The rest of us going with Sewanee. That is Tammy Peanut Norton's alma mater, Sewanee, and also the first high school where Coach Jay Walls coached at.
Hey, Bill, what's the is it more challenging to pick high school games or college games for you?
Early on, it's really challenging to pick high school games because you don't know what talent is there from the previous year, who's transferred, who's graduated, what the situations are. Early on, I think it's harder to pick high school than it is college. But as the season goes on, you kind of read between the lines and you can see who's going to be the really good teams on the season. Next we got Westside at Leon. Westside was good early on. A lot of as I was talking with Coach Alex Adams last night, I did a little research, did a little digging. They played Westside earlier in the year. They played them tough, went to overtime and give it to Coas Creek. But he said towards the end of the season, they're a basketball school, and a lot of their athletes switch over to basketball. Mm-hmm. So I got some inside scoop, and I'm going with Leon to win their first game on the season. So is Paul and Joe. Bob's going with Westside on the road. Godby at Dothan. We're all going with Godby in that one. Bozeman at Bay. We're split here. Joe and I going with Bay. Paul and Bob going with Bozeman. Wakulla playing much better, but they're going to Gadsden County, who's having an outstanding season. Paul going with Wakulla. The rest of us going with Gadsden County. McClay at Taylor County. One loss, but they haven't played in a couple of weeks due to one to weather and one to a cancellation of postponement last week. So McClay playing strong football right now. Bob and I going with McClay. Joe and Paul are going with Taylor County. Destin at Carrollwood Day, no contest here. Destin the 1-7 on the year, going to a good Carrollwood Day school. Flomaton, Alabama at Northview. Northview has struggled this year. We're all going with Flomaton on the road. Bluntstown's been strong, but Walton's got a very probably one of the best quarterbacks in the area in Wells Bettenhausen, and the Braves should win that one handily, but Paul's still going with Bluntstown. Paul is a glutton for punishment. Jay at Blackshear. Joe going with Blackshear, Alabama. The rest of us going with Jay. Jay 8-1 on the season. Liberty County at Freeport. This should be a good contest. All of us going with the Bulldogs at home in Freeport. Central at Weewa. The long season continues in the first year. Coach Surratt at Central. But they're going over to Weewa, which is a very long road trip for the Central team. Lafayette, a winner last week. Chipley, I'm going with Lafayette on the road. Everybody else is going with the Tigers at home. Vernon at Baker. Baker, no contest here. Osceola Christian unbeaten. Should have no problem with Franklin County. Lake Mineola is a 7A school. Having kind of a down year, but they're going to Madison County. Once again, Madison County plays everybody. Yeah. So they may have a 2-8 record, 3-7 record going to the playoffs, but more than likely will win state with that record because they play everybody. They take all comers. Mm-hmm. And we're going with Madison County, and tough place to play in Boot Hill. Yeah. Opp, Alabama coming into Florida once again. They're 2-0 on the season. Make it 3-0 row against Holmes County. Jefferson County at Port St. Joe. Paul going with Jefferson County. The rest of us going with the hot Port St. Joe team. And FAMU, the drum keeps a beating. Houston County, Alabama will destroy FAMU DRS in the last week of the season.
I feel like every Houston County high school that I've ever seen has dominated. I don't know what it is about that name.
Houston County is up there in the Warner Robins area, is it not?
Yes, sir.
I remember when I went to an NCO leadership school back in 1989. I went to Warner Robins for leadership school.
I don't know if you had a chance to watch
that was
some
my
high school
first
ball,
trip
but...
to the South,
okay,
really, in the military.
Yeah.
And that's where I was introduced to Southern football.
Yes, sir.
I was sitting in the day room on Saturday afternoon, and the game that was on was Florida State.
Yep.
Florida's up 31-3. You know how that game ended up?
I don't.
A 31-31 tie.
Wow.
Florida State came back and tied that game when they still were accepting ties. So that was my introduction to football in the South, not knowing that eventually I was going to be stationed down here. And so that was a good start to seeing what football was like going to be in the South.
That's good. I was a younger guy. I wasn't into watching college ball yet.
Well, you're a young man in 1989. What were you, about 8 or 10?
I was 7.
7?
Yes, sir.
I was close.
Yeah, it's real close.
So that was, well, we're not gonna do numbers here because that only shows my age. But it also shows wisdom.
Wait until they see you next year, Bob.
I know. I'm gonna be back.
Yes.
I'll be tackling those stairs going up every week. But there's your high school picks. Now we got to move on to college because we do college as well. Yours truly still leading in college picks. I've opened up my margin to 6. Except Joe gained a little bit on me he gained 2 games on me last week. Joe went 26-4 last week with those games.
Man,
Bob 25-5.
That's tough to do nowadays.
And Paul and I went 24-26. Yeah. On this season, I got a 187-58 record, 76.3%. Joe is 6 games back at 73.8%, and Bob at 176-69, 71.8%. And Paul, 175. All of us are over 70%. Yeah, that's pretty solid.
That's really good.
I know we don't go against the spreads, but it's still tough to pick college football.
No, it is really, really tough.
But we got 3 games going on. It's Tuesday night. We got 3 games going on tonight. Do you believe that?
How blessed are we?
Listen to this halftime score over at Sam Houston. Louisiana Tech 3, Sam Houston 2. That's a halftime. Actually, a minute and a half into the second half, it's 3-2. Come on, guys. Put a touchdown on the board. New Mexico State at FIU, 27-13, FIU on top. Louisiana and Texas Tech, the Raging Cajuns up 14-6 as they just start the second half there. But you know what? From now until pretty much the end of the year and into January, we're going to have football pretty much every day.
We are.
What a country we live in.
Very, very exciting times.
And not only next week, we're going to do our final show of the season next week here from Culver's. You know what next Tuesday is, right?
I don't.
It's Election Day.
Oh, yeah, it is Election Day.
So we'll give you some up-to-date.
I knew that.
We're not going to make it political. We're just going to give you numbers as the election goes on and everything. So that'll be part of our final show next Tuesday night here at Culver's. Then we'll do a Wednesday night final show at Buffalo Wild Wings. Our Halloween game this year is Tulane at Charlotte. Tulane really starting to play some good ball.
They are.
We're all going with the Green Wave in that one over Charlotte, the 49ers. Did you know that? You knew Charlotte was the 49ers?
I did know that.
Did you?
Yes.
Georgia State at UConn on Friday night. UConn playing better. Georgia State up in your area. They play at the old. Do they play at the Braves' old stadium?
I believe they do. They got a new coaching staff in. I don't know if you knew that, didn't you?
Yep.
They're making strides, and the head coach came from Georgia. He was a running back coach last, 5 to 7 years. And he's starting to implement a lot of things that they're doing in Athens. So Georgia State's on the rise, man.
Oh, most
they're
definitely.
Really well.
UConn playing much better ball there and coached by, I'm trying to remember that guy's name. His dad was a coach.
He's the coach of Falcons, right?
Jim Mora Jr.
Jim Mora Jr., yeah.
Is the head coach at UConn. Boise State, I got a chance to watch their whole game last week. Actually, not all of it. I got home from the Raiders game.
The running back. Oh, my goodness.
You can hold him only down for so long.
Yeah.
That guy's a beast, and he scored the winning touchdown in that game against a very, very good UNLV team, coached by Coach Odoms. That used to be the Wake Forest head coach. Great defensive mind.
I know he's coming up close on one of Barry Sanders' records, but he reminds me of Emmitt Smith a little bit, in my opinion.
Size-wise, yes.
Size-wise and how he runs the ball, his vision, how Emmitt would just come out of that, that frantic defensive huddle, and before you know it, man, he's running 70 yards for a touchdown.
If he continues the rate that he's going right now, I think he's still averaging close to 200 yards a game.
Yeah.
If he does not get selected for the Heisman Trophy, I'm sorry, then we should not have the Heisman Trophy.
I've literally seen 10 people in the box pretty much 75% of that game, and that dude still had 133 yards rushing.
He did.
Man.
So you get a chance to watch Boise State. They face off a good San Diego State team this week, but they're at home on the blue turf. I don't like that blue turf. Didn't like it at Rickards either. It's just kind of weird.
I had to watch that game on TV. But it was bad.
We'll go to our Saturday games. Air Force at undefeated. Army still unbeaten. The last Academy team unbeaten. Number 23 Army. They're still on Notre Dame's schedule as well.
Yeah.
So that should be an interesting ball game. Air Force kind of down on the offensive side of the ball this year. Army should take that one. All four of us are going with Army in that one. Duke at Miami. Miami's playing some good ball right now.
Yeah. Cam Ward is really
those teams that get the breaks early in the season and win games that they shouldn't.
Yeah.
When they finally get on a roll, that's going to be tough to stop Miami.
Yeah.
We got all of us going with Miami there. Ole Miss at Arkansas. Arkansas, what'd you do to me last week? Mississippi State was playing well. They put 31 up against your Bulldogs.
Yeah.
And I was like, they got a chance.
Yeah.
Now, Arkansas says, go home. You don't have this one. And Arkansas put 58 points up on them last week. And so you think I would take Arkansas this week? Nope. We're all going with Ole Miss on the road in this one.
That's a good call.
Number 4, Ohio State, the game of the weekend at number 3, Penn State. Joe and Paul are taking Penn State on the road. Bob and I are going with the Buckeyes. It's hard to pick against the Buckeyes.
I agree. I concur. No, their coaching staff, I believe, is one of the best in the country. I respect them wholeheartedly. Obviously, we had a tight game with them in the playoffs. Last year, a couple years ago, no, 2 years ago, and it really woke me up, man.
And you know what the nickname is for the Penn State coach? Little Game James. So he's 1-12 against top 5 opponents. But you know what? Coach Day is 0-5 against top 5 opponents. So something's got to give in this game this weekend.
Yeah, Coach Day, he coached really well against Georgia a couple
We
years
call
ago.
him Blackbeard.
Yeah.
That's a man's beard.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
We were blessed to come out of that game victorious.
So Bob and I going to Ohio State. Joe and Paul going with Penn State. Northwestern at Purdue. Joe, I don't know what you're thinking in this one. Purdue is the worst team in the Big Ten by far. And you're taking Purdue at home against Northwestern. Not a chance. Minnesota's been playing really good ball. They're going to number 20, Illinois. All of us going with the Illini at home. They had a couple of players. Wide receiver from Pace played up there, Strain, from a couple of years ago. And there's been some area players that have gone up to play for Illinois. Where'd your good friend Akeem Spence go?
He went to Illinois.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Has Akeem been back in the area lately?
He hasn't been back since the last time we hung out with him.
Looking forward for a chance to meet him.
We're going down to Tampa next weekend, and then 2 weekends after that for unofficial visits to South Florida.
Okay.
Yep.
Number 25, Vanderbilt at Auburn. Paul's going with the Tigers at home. The rest of us are going with Vandy's for real. They got a quarterback now.
Now they got a quarterback. They got a great defense. The trenches is much better than it has been in the past. I think that's the biggest transformation as far as their team goes.
And Coach Clark, this guy was grown to be a Vanderbilt coach.
Yes.
Clark Lee, coached at Notre Dame as assistant coach.
Yeah.
He turned down scholarships to go as walk-on at football at Vanderbilt to play baseball. He was a baseball player as well.
Yeah.
And then he went to coach at Notre Dame, and then they lured him back to the head coaching job, and he's doing a great job there. Joe, it's too late to make a change on the Penn State game. If the quarterback that you already made your pick. I'm sorry, we've already made them public.
Yeah. You also
as,
mentioned
as Bob says, that was the choke at Doak. That's right, Bob. 31-31.
Oh man. He also mentioned Travis Hunter being in the running as well. Yeah, Travis.
Oh yeah,
Travis
most definitely. Two-way players. So like Shohei Ohtani in baseball.
Oh man. Yeah.
That guy's one of a kind.
He is.
But we're going with Vanderbilt in that one. You're going to have to bribe me to change that pick there, Joe. No, I'm just kidding. North Carolina, Florida State.
You did say he was going to be on the chain game Friday, right?
No, he's it's a home game for us.
Oh, yeah,
so,
okay, that's right.
So they'll be at Navarre on Friday night. He'll be up on the roof with me. Yeah. North Carolina, Florida State. Seminoles, not a chance. North Carolina usually beats you when you're good at home. They're definitely going to beat you because their offense is rolling right now. After they gave up 70 to JMU, they've been putting up a lot of the points on the board. Joe and I going with North Carolina. Bob and Paul going with Florida State.
I'll tell you what, Grady Kelly had a good game last week. I don't know if you had a chance to see
I
it.
have not. Didn't
for
get a
Florida
chance
State.
to see it.
Yeah, he had a solid game.
Florida at Georgia. We're all going with the Bulldogs there.
Yes, we are.
They're actually not at Georgia. Are they still playing in Jacksonville?
Still playing in Jacksonville. Kirby Smart is working to get that one moved so they can be home and away in the future. We'll see how that goes.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like the home and home.
It'd be nice.
Home and home.
Yeah.
Arizona at UCF. I thought UCF would give them a game last week. They did not. But we're going with all of us going with UCF in this one over Arizona. Long trip to the East Coast. Number 16, Kansas State at Houston. Houston's been up and down, sort of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Kansas State has not. Yeah. We're going with the Wildcats in that one.
Houston had a few transfers to leave their starting defense. It's been tough to recover.
Love their head coach down there. With, I think it's Dana Holgerson.
Yep.
Used to coach at West Virginia. Texas Tech at number 10, Iowa State, a team that still hasn't lost. Iowa State, the Cyclones. We're all going with them at home. Number 1, Oregon should have no problem with Michigan at the Big House.
We'll see.
It's always a tough place to play.
No doubt.
UCLA at Nebraska. Nebraska should get – UCLA's in a down season right now. Cornhuskers should get that one.
They should.
Navy at Rice. Navy will get healthy against the Rice Owls.
They will.
Arizona State at Oklahoma State. Paul going with Oklahoma State. The rest of us going with Arizona State. Hawaii at Fresno State. Coming to the mainland. Not so good of record for the Warriors. Rainbow Warriors. There we go. And we're all going with Fresno there. Louisville at number 9 Clemson, who found their offense after the Georgia game.
They did.
But they had a very weak schedule during that time period. Texas A&M, a surprise big winner over LSU last week. Did not see that coming. They're going to South Carolina, one of the toughest places to play in the SEC.
It is. You can't sleep on South Carolina, man.
But we're all going with the Aggies there. Wisconsin and Iowa, they played a good first half against Penn State. Iowa's offense is actually putting points on the board this year. They've scored 40 twice, so we're going with the Hawkeyes. And that was one of the best traditions. At the end of the first quarter, the Children's Hospital built next to the stadium, the fans all turned around and waved to all the children that are going through treatment at the hospital and everything. It's really cool that they do that.
I might check that game out just to see that.
I know my wife will have it on because she's a Wisconsin alum. USC at Washington. We're split here. Joe and Paul going with Washington. Bob and I going with USC. Washington, everybody thought they would give Indiana a battle last week. Indiana still prevails by 2 touchdowns. USC's been Heckle and Jekyll as well.
They're starting to look like Oklahoma did back in the day, a little bit.
So Bob and I going with USC. Joe and Paul going with Washington. Kentucky at Tennessee. That's a tough team to play at home in Knoxville. We're all going with the Vols there. TCU at Baylor. The Bears are playing much better. Not those Bears, the Baylor Bears. Pittsburgh, SMU. I struggled with this game.
Hey man,
Pittsburgh has been playing really good football.
They are playing
They're
good.
unbeaten. Going to a one-loss SMU team, a tough place to play. I end up going with SMU. I don't know why, but I think Pittsburgh's actually going to win that game.
I was checking out the SMU after their last victory, and the locker room had a whole bunch of alumni in there, man. That culture is like it was back in the day. They're going to be good for a while.
And Colorado State at Nevada, the Wolfpack against the Rams. We're split here. I'm going with Colorado State on the road, so is Paul. And Joe and Bob are going with Nevada.
It's going to be an interesting matchup. The Colorado State head coach coached at Nevada previously.
And he took a lot of his players with him.
I think like 15 to 20 of them.
Yeah. So, and that was one of the reasons that Dante ended up transferring to Temple because of what went on there with the coaching change and everything.
Unfortunate too.
But I want to thank all of you that's been on the show. We're not done yet. We're getting there. But we want to thank all of you, Jackson Spalla, Hunter Feaster, the pick wizard Joe Settle, our biggest fan, Deborah Broxson. Thank you for stopping by last week, Debbie. And we appreciate all you guys checking in.
Miss Debbie's amazing.
And Bob Grant, I hope your voice gets better. I need you Friday night, dude. If not, I might have to maybe pull this guy up here to do a little color analysis for me.
Yes, sir.
He's got laryngitis right now. So.
Oh, man.
So he's
just let me know, Bob. I got you.
Yeah, we always got a guy to step in for you, Bob, just in case. But let's talk about our former Navarre Raiders, where they're at now. And Michael Carter is still on the practice squad for the Arizona Cardinals. I would love to see him get back into the playing status.
He will.
They'll be hosting the Bears this weekend. The Bears are going to be hungry in that one.
Yeah, I think that was a very humble gesture for him to even accept a role on the practice squad. I think Mike is going to come back stronger than ever.
Jacksonville Jaguars' Jordan Jefferson had one of his better games last week.
Yeah,
he had 3 tackles in a 30-27 loss to the Green Bay Packers.
He's growing a lot.
Darn.
Jordan's growing
Beat
a
the
lot.
pack.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Their next game is this Sunday at 3:05 at the Philadelphia Eagles. Jordan with 4 tackles on the season. The Indoor Football League that season has completed earlier. Wide receiver Quentin Randolph finished his 3rd year. They went 11-6, made it to the playoffs. And Quentin had 56 receptions for 818 yards, 15 touchdowns. That's a lot considering the field is only 50 yards long.
He's open a lot. hopefully he will get his opportunity soon with the big.
He's already signed a contract to go back to Las Vegas to play for the Knights this fall. NFL, I don't know what you're not looking at here. This guy has it all. He's got the speed. He's got the hands. He has the go get the ball attitude.
Yeah.
And if the ball gets in those hands, he's not dropping it.
He's very intelligent as well, man. His route running is incredible. And also he works with some young receivers in the area, man. He knows the ins and outs of playing receiver.
I'm surprised he has not been offered yet. And Joe, I know you had to go there. Said, Hail Mary, Bill. Pick Wizard, you were on my good side. Now you have to work your way back to my good side. I thought I was going to go a whole show without anybody bringing up my Bears loss. Thanks, buddy.
I'm sure he'll make it up this Friday.
Dante Wright, they're 2-6. He's had no stats. Is he banged up a little bit?
I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out.
He has not really played much in the last 2 games for Temple. And he was their leading receiver going.
Yeah, he was.
Actually, he's amongst the leaders in the AAC. But the last 2 games, he has only had 1 ball thrown to him.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out, see what's going on.
They lost to East Carolina, the future school of one Eddie Love Jr.
Yep.
Their next game is they got the week off this week. Then they'll be at Tulane next week. On the season, Dante, 42 receptions, 517 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he's also their leading punt returner with a little over 7 yards per punt return. But a big game last week for our young man, Josh Carter.
Yeah.
Had his best collegiate game this past weekend. 31 carries, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 28-17 win over Utah Tech. For the season, Josh with 714 yards, 8 touchdowns on 143 carries, and 13 receptions for just under 100 yards. And
season.
Josh is working his way into the NFL draft.
Absolutely, man. I can't wait to see him there. Hopefully him and his brother will play against each other.
You remember Josh, the way that he was built at Navarre and the way for his first year at South Alabama. He decided he wanted to go back and play running back.
Yep.
And he trimmed down, and he looks amazing
He looks
right
really
now.
Good. I seen him maybe a couple months ago here at the end of the summer. He looks good.
They got a tough game this weekend as they go to Tarleton State. McNeese State University, Elijah Melendez. He unfortunately did not play in their 24-19 loss to Nichols this past week. They're 4-5 on the season, and they'll be at Texas A&M Commerce this weekend for a Saturday night game. Huntington College linebacker Bailey Houston. He had 2 tackles and a 25-21 loss to Brevard. Next game up, they'll be in LaGrange. We all know where LaGrange at, just off Highway 85 on the way to Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
Season tackles, Bailey having a great season, 33 tackles, 21 solo, 12 assists, 6 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks out of the linebacker position. Florida State defensive lineman Grady Kelly, he's a redshirt junior. Unfortunately, the Seminoles continue to plummet southward, 1-7, 1-6. Their schedule doesn't get any easier. He had a solo tackle on a 36-14 loss to Miami. Next, they'll be hosting North Carolina this weekend. On the season, Grady with 5 tackles, 4 solo assists, and 1 sack. University of West Florida linebacker Devin Wright. He's a redshirt sophomore. They're 5-2, 3-1 in conference play. They're second in the Gulf South Conference. And solo tackle on a 35-16 win over Shorter this past weekend. And they'll be on the road to Erskine, which I believe is South Carolina. This weekend they got a 1 p.m. kickoff Eastern time over there in Erskine. Season stats, 3 tackles, solo and 2 assists for West Florida's Devin Wright. Kennesaw State, Ethan Newman, they got the first win on the season last week as they upset Liberty. And it was Liberty was unbeaten 5-0, and Ethan Newman gets his first win as a sophomore for the Kennesaw State Owls.
Yeah.
Beautiful facilities they have up there.
Hey, Ethan's in for the big time.
He is.
Career.
He was preseason all-conference in that one. Mm-hmm. Their next game up is they go to Western Kentucky tomorrow night. So tomorrow night you got a game, so we'll be able to watch that while we're doing the show tomorrow night. Western Michigan still waiting for Terrence Marshall to get his appearance. I mean, right now Western Michigan is leading the MAC conference with a 4-0 record. Conference record. They're 5-3 on the season.
Yeah.
They beat Kent State last week 52-21. And they owe me one this week as they play Northern Illinois. I'm tired of hearing it, folks.
Yeah.
Northern Illinois got lucky
Yeah,
at Notre Dame. So
you got to shoot him a message, man.
yeah, I will. If you give me his number, I will definitely shoot him a message saying, hey, you guys got to beat Northern Illinois, especially since they're coming to your place. West Florida's defensive back Tyrell Marshall, his twin brother, hasn't received any playing time yet.
Not yet.
I don't know if they're going to end up redshirting
I believe they're
him.
hoping to hold him out, so they can utilize that red shirt.
They're 5-2 and 3-1 in conference play. Maryville College quarterback Hunter Feaster and Maryville College offensive lineman Jackson Spalla. Isn't it cool that good friends get to go play college football together?
And I think the best thing about it is, Jackson's probably going to end up being the center when Hunter is starting there eventually, man.
That'll be cool.
It's going to be a really cool situation.
Well, Hunter did not play in a 48-6 win over Methodist. They'll be at Belhaven. Should be an easy victory there. Belhaven's down right now. But Jackson Spalla got in and got a lot of playing time last week.
He played really good.
How'd he look?
He looked good, man. He looked really good.
Then Lighthouse Christian College offensive lineman Charlie Cottrell. He was going to get out of football, and they started a new school here in the Panhandle, Lighthouse Christian College, and Charlie came back to play football, and their team's doing really well. They're 4-1 on the season.
Yep.
And their next game will be this weekend against Palm Beach Prep.
Yep.
And they play up, I think, in East Milton.
Yeah, Lighthouse has a great plan for their organization and the college moving forward. Excited about them, and they're recruiting really good right now in the local area.
Okay, here's my rant. It's not a bad one. How do you defend the Hail Mary? The way the Bears did it is not the way that you do it. The play leading up to that play, the Chicago coaching staff, you do not give a 13-yard route and let the receiver get out of bounds when you have no timeouts left. That set up the final play. Then your man over there, Tyreek is talking, celebrating with the Bears fans that are at the game, realizing that the play hasn't even started. But before we even get to that, why do you only rush 3 players on that play?
Yeah, I don't understand that coaching philosophy one bit.
Because if you send 5, man on man, he's not going to get a chance to get an open look to throw the ball. Yeah. So, am I wrong? I've never coached a game, but to me, it just seems logical that you would put pressure and not allow him to throw that pass.
I agree.
So it's not a big rant. It ended up costing the Bears the game, which in turn could end up costing them the playoffs, especially with as talented as division that they have right now with the Lions, the Vikings, and, the Green Bay Packers. You can never count out the Green Bay Packers. They luck into a lot of wins. Bob's a Packers fan as well as my wife and my mother-in-law, my daughter, my brothers-in-law, and everybody. Brady and I are the only Bears fan.
Yeah,
but
that's
just one of my things I wanted to bring up. Is just like, I've never coached a game, but I can figure out on the previous play, you don't allow that receiver to get out of bounds.
I'll tell you what, Tyreek's not going to live that situation down. Hopefully he'll respond well. Like I mentioned to you earlier, we both know he was a Georgia Bulldog, and he was definitely developed better than he showed on that play. Kirby Smart was probably livid watching the game just because Tyreek knows better. Come on, man.
But they interviewed the one thing I don't like about NFL coaches, and sometimes you got to take accountability of your own actions, your play calling, the way that you put the team into that situation. But this coach, he puts it down on the players, and I don't like that. Some players, Tyreek deserved it for his performance or lack of there at the end. But the play calling, at some point, you got to be accountable for yourself.
That's right.
And it's just he's catching a lot of heat. For one, you back up a couple series, you're handing the ball off to an offensive lineman to try to take the lead. Now, if you're up 2 or 3 scores, I can see that. But in that situation, you have 3 linemen that are hurt.
Okay.
You take another lineman that's supposed to be on the line to block, and you move him into the backfield to hand off to him. You know what? Running backs and wide receivers get paid to score. Offensive linemen do not get paid to score. Let them do their job.
Yeah, Bill, I agree wholeheartedly. Typically on that level, especially in the NFL, the head coach is the CEO, and they're going to treat him accordingly. You rarely see a player get removed from the team from coaching mistakes. You know, it's just like we saw in New York, you know, for the Jets. Might not have been his problem, but Coach Saleh might not have been.
I like Coach Saleh.
I do too. It might not have been.
But now he's in Green Bay.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But still, you know, like the coaches are going to take the fall. They're the CEO, you know. They're managing the team and they're running the house, you know. So 20 times out of 20 is probably going to come down to them.
Most definitely. But, well, hopefully that you've enjoyed the show tonight, coming on and filling in for Seminole Bob.
I do.
And we missed our visit from Coach O tonight. Maybe he'll be back next week. You ever heard Coach O?
I haven't.
Well, yeah, we got one of our buddies that comes in and does a good Coach O impression, and we'll do an interview for about 3 or 4 minutes with him, and we'll just talk about LSU and football and Red Bull and all that stuff.
The next time you have him on, Bill, make sure I know so that
I'm sure if see, I never see him and Bob at the same time.
Yeah.
It makes me think about things, but where are they? Bob, you always seem to be gone when Coach O comes in. Really?
So, Bob, what's going on with that, man?
Yeah. But anyways, hope you all enjoyed the show. Marty, I'll see you in the morning, bright and early. Yeah. I'll be back there hopefully with a good night's sleep. And for Irish Bill and Marty Wilson, this has been Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We're blessed to be able to do this, and we hope that you enjoyed the show tonight from Culver's. God bless.